Cheers to episode 153.
Cheers. Oh my gosh, what are you drinking?
Me or
I'm asking
Grant?
Alex. His is green. Grant just has a green cup.
Oh, mine's just cookies and cream protein shake.
Oh, lifter.
But it's green.
The bottle's green. I guess the liquid was interesting.
It looks like
it looks like chocolate milk.
It looks
Let me
like
see
the
it.
juices that
Put it
come
in
from
the camera.
Shrek's body.
Higher up.
Oh, a little POV.
You're frozen. Oh, okay. I didn't know you had a green cup as well.
Lights off. What's going on, Alex? This is creepy
I
as
got
hell.
the wrong memo.
Can we get back to your face?
The light turned off. I don't know what to tell you.
What a podcasting disaster. Now you're making all this noise. Have you ever gone to Aruba? It's all over your arm.
Yes, I have.
Does that shirt say Scuba Aruba? Because that's pretty cool.
Because that's where I scuba dived.
Wow.
Certified.
153. I'm drinking coffee, an espresso shot to be specific.
Dude,
because I feel like I need it.
What the?
You're idiot. That's my last swear word of the day.
Yeah.
But seriously, what are you doing, dude?
I can sleep on anything. Like I can just
You think
I can
that?
force myself
I
to
do
sleep.
feel that. I probably can't sleep on anything. It's just I'm not a huge coffee past 11 o'clock guy. Unless I
love
wake up
coffee
at
at night.
10:30. I've never.
Great.
I don't think I've ever made a pot of coffee past noon.
Like a late
life.
coffee after a evening dinner is. But I'm not like Grant.
I can
I can't
honestly
sleep
have
if I
never
drink
done
coffee
that.
late. So
I have
no caffeine.
a dialed in routine. This is the exception to the rule. Normally I have a coffee at 8 a.m. when I go into work, probably finish it around 10. And then I always have a coffee at 2 p.m., 3 p.m. So I have two during the day. And then this is an exception. Wait.
Back up.
Whoop.
1 cup. One mug of coffee.
It's
At
an
8 a.m.?
espresso machine. Yes.
And it takes you 2 hours to drink that 1 cup of coffee.
I sip on it. It's not a race.
It gets cold, dude.
Not in a
Also,
Yeti.
I've probably
it's
had 4 cups
2024
by that point.
It's 2020. Okay, don't hurt me.
Who just?
It's 2024,
I mean,
Alex.
80% of America's probably had 4 cups by that time, Grant. They're not sipping their first one still.
There's no need to chug it, and I don't need that much. I just need one.
Yeah, but 1 over 2 hours is like a sip per 15 minutes. Not even drinking that coffee.
Oh my god!
It's like a mouth
I
water.
won't take this.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's true.
I do. I like wetting my mouth with coffee periodically throughout the morning.
All right, as long as we're on the same page here. You don't like drinking coffee. You like the occasional
Sipping coffee.
toothpaste sample of it.
Yeah, because I feel like if you chug coffee, it's not coffee.
No
doesn't
one's
mean
saying
chug.
you got to chug coffee, but how long does it take you to drink 1 cup of water?
I don't know. I don't drink cups. I drink out of this big boy, so it takes a while.
I think the majority of people would be on my side here.
I'll add a clarification to my
Evan's on my
stance.
side. He's eating for those that are just listening, but he is on my side.
If it's an iced coffee, I can chug that. Example, this past weekend in the Atlanta airport, chugged a Caribou iced coffee in less
Grant,
than 10 minutes.
Hot
coffee, no.
I'm not asking you to chug your coffee. That's extreme.
Feels
But
like it.
you must be taking this world's small sips, or you're never taking a sip. That's what's happening.
I don't have any more comments on it.
You're in the wrong. Let's just move on.
Now, also in the wrong, I have to bite my tongue. If you tell me that when you drink coffee, you can't go to bed and you get all jittery, I immediately think that you're a child. You can't just control your body if you have coffee. It keeps you up all night. Just go to bed. Simply close your eyes and go to bed. So that's why I feel like
Grant,
I'm
that's not
drinking
how
late
it
at night.
works.
Yes,
That's not how it works at all. You can. No one's saying that you drink the coffee at night and then you just lay there jittery and can't close your eyes. And that's not how it works. You close your eyes, you won't fall asleep. Just kind of toss and turn. That's what happens.
Or people when they're like, when I have a cup, I just go crazy. I'm bouncing off the wall. It's like, yeah, grow up. You're not like a 5-year-old eating sugar for the first time.
If you don't drink coffee a lot, that can happen.
Oh, I agree. The times I've like not drank it for 2 days on accident, and then I have it again, I'm like, oh wow, this actually does pack a punch.
Yeah.
Evan's eyes lit up. Does he got some?
Yeah, Grant, you don't get caffeine headaches?
Mine are horrendous.
Yeah, I would.
Mine are so
bad. To be honest, when I said
new levels of bad.
When I said like if I skip 2 days, I can't tell you the last day I haven't had coffee. Like I actually could not think of the last day, which is so sick, and that's how you know you're addicted.
It's probably when I wake up in the 4 years for me.
When I wake up in the morning,
nothing wrong with
when I'm traveling. Like everything revolves around coffee in the morning. If I don't have it, I feel like my whole day is screwed.
If I'm not sleeping in my own house, I wake up. The first thing I think of is like, how am I going to get breakfast? How am I going to get coffee into my system? That's it.
I don't need the breakfast as bad, but yes, the coffee is required.
It's crazy.
I would almost say now, like, coffee's more important just because that way I don't get a caffeine headache.
Yeah.
Coffee, yeah.
And it's sad I'm so, like, dependent on it because now I have to drink, like, the same amount of coffee. Like, I can't weed myself off without getting a headache because I don't have enough caffeine.
We're basically Coke addicts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but us in 65% of the United States. Dude, everyone in the world is addicted to coffee. Who cares? We're all alive.
It's true.
The world runs on Dunkin'.
There's those people out there that don't drink coffee.
Yeah.
Well, they're psychopaths. What's the point? I didn't drink coffee until college, but I think Evan was a high school coffee guy.
Yes, I was. My first Keurig.
So welcome in to the #1 sports podcast all around the state of Michigan. It's Wednesday, February 7th, 2024, 9:19 p.m., a little late night, hence the coffee talk. 8:19 p.m. in Texas. Beautiful warm day here in the state of Michigan, 45 degrees. It's dark outside right now. I think we should start RIP to Toby Keith, and everyone say your favorite song of his.
I'm still not over it.
It's all right. You can process it, Evan.
I had tears in my eyes yesterday morning when I read Luke's, and then I looked it up. Had tears in my eyes. I shed a tear this morning thinking about it.
And
what's your favorite song?
I'm not going first.
I like a lot of songs.
I said mine in the group chat beers ago is a classic, just great party drinking song.
I just think about Toby Keith in my childhood, to be honest. And the first song I remember singing where I was allowed to say a bad word was courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue. So that's probably mine.
You got to say ass.
Yeah, and I would scream it in the car with my dad and be like, yeah, I'm a badass.
Evan?
Am I up? I would say My List by Toby Keith. Am I muted?
Grant, are you
no.
I said My List.
What's happened?
My List.
I didn't know that was a song name. Hand up.
You said My List by Toby Keith, and you just stared at him. I didn't even know what to say.
I thought since it touched Evan so much, he's about to rattle off 5. I thought he meant my list.
You just made me so uncomfortable right there, Grant. That was all time uncomfortable.
Yeah, I feel super uncomfortable. I think I have to leave that full pause in. I legit thought he was about to list 5 songs.
No. You said you did your top song. I can't list all of them.
No, I get it now.
Oh, in the moment, you were just staring straight ahead. I didn't know what to do.
Alex, did you know that was a song title?
He said My List by Toby Keith. Toby Keith. So I did, yes.
All right.
Grant made that terrible. Oh, man.
On tonight's show, we got a lot. It's a unique show because there's really no massive things going on in the state. There's a lot of smaller headlines that I kind of broke it into a weekly headline segment. Maybe that's something we carry into the non-football part of the show since things dry up. We get in such a routine of football season. You're doing this, you're recapping this, you're previewing this.
We should just only do the podcast during football.
Wow.
No?
Take. You're going to miss out on it when the Red Wings make the playoffs.
I was did I say that out loud?
Sorry, bi-weekly during off-season.
Well, it would be cool if our basketball teams didn't suck.
Yeah.
Well, they don't, Evan. Michigan beat Wisconsin today. They are the best team in the country now.
Still ain't making the tournament. All
Alex,
teams are making the tournament.
I think that's a good point. I think
Instead
you bring your head up
here twiddling our thumbs every week. We just bi-weekly and pack a punch.
You bring your head above water after football season because it's such a grind. Maybe what it turns into in the non-football months is we try to land some more guests, because I know that's a favorite part of our listeners is like bringing on people, talking to them. And maybe like if we don't get someone for a week, or we get 2 people in 1 week, we record them both, and then we just space them out. Every 2 weeks we drop a show with an interview attached to it and whatnot. Maybe it looks a little bit different. We'll have to reassess, but it does feel daunting right now to do a weekly show now that football season is basically over, because I don't just know.
Baseball season starts. Oh boy.
Well, it's really just the spring stretch, because summer we just do drafts and those are fun. I enjoy those and I'm fine to do those. But like this weird spring stretch where there's college basketball is looking iffy. I agree. Could be a little tough. We'll see. If anyone has any ideas or suggestions, let us know. We're a show of the people, as evidenced by we have some listener questions we'll get to tonight. But needless to say, we're talking to pretty much every team besides the Tigers and Red Wings, I think, tonight we'll say something about. And then we need to do more about the Red Wings at a later date, depending on how they do, because we haven't really talked about them at all. But again, football season. The other big thing besides the weekly headlines is we're going to do a football season in review, kind of look at some big picture thoughts of our takeaways, best moments, worst moments, which I think is important, because I think a lot of times, like I said, you get in such a grind, you just race to the next thing. I think it'd be fun to look back at what we thought to start the year, what we think now, and how it's changed. Some people are wondering, are we doing this because Michigan won the title? I don't think so. I thought of this the other day. I was like, we should do an actual season in review, unlike past years. So we'll see how it goes. Before we get into weekly check-ins, if you have not, please follow us on social media. Subscribe to the YouTube, Spotify, Apple. If you think you're subscribed, just double check. Make sure that you are. Sometimes you forget. And without further ado, Alex, your week in review. Anything notable?
Well, just like the lull of the end of football is the lull of my current state of my life, I guess. I'm also just, in the off season of boring. I did not do anything fun that I can think of. When did we last record? Last Monday?
Monday, probably, yeah. It's okay. You don't have to force it.
Nothing's coming to my mind. And my 2024 goal is to limit the length of my weekly check-in.
Evan?
So people know less about my life.
Been super busy. A lot going on, a lot happening. Couple highlights. If you are screaming at refs in 3rd and 4th grade basketball, you're the scum of the earth, and I hope you have a terrible rest of your life.
Agreed.
Ditto.
And then I watched my very first ever regular season Pistons game in person.
Oh, yeah.
On Sunday.
End up? Never been to a Pistons game. Other than the one preseason one we went to at the Breslin Center.
Wait, never been to a regular season game.
Palace too? Like
I never walked a single step into the Palace in my entire life.
Never been in the Palace.
Wow.
Never will be.
Never been to a Pistons game. Probably at this rate, not looking like I ever will go to a Pistons game.
All these years of friendship, and you still learn things new about each other every day. That's beautiful.
I've told you this, but it's okay.
You never have.
So did that Sunday afternoon, right after the game. Varsity got to play on the Pistons court afterwards. Pretty badass to be courtside, sitting down there. I thought it was sweet.
You dap it up with Blaha?
Cool.
There was nobody left around from the Pistons besides
you didn't see my guy Greg Kelser that I met at Carl's golf.
No. There was nobody left from the Pistons. Nobody. We had to wait around like a while afterwards so they clear out. There was nobody.
Hey, Greg, you remember my buddy Alex you met at Carl's?
Oh, yeah. We had a great time.
So that was probably the most memorable thing that I did over the last week or so.
Did you take a feet on the hardwood picture?
I did not take any. I tried to take a couple pictures, and then it got photobombed. Like people would be running through it, so I just gave up at one point. I was like, I'm done. People like there was
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's not Pistons related, so if you want to close that out, you may. If there's anything else you wanted to say about that?
No, I don't really have anything else to say besides how badass it was.
What the people care about is, have you marked anything off your movies and TV show list?
Recently?
And if not, would you like to apologize
I've been
to anybody?
So busy that like I don't have time.
Just answer the question.
I gotta check my list. Oh, wrong list.
You cross them out so that you know that you watched
your
it.
list?
Their list is the teams I will never bet on again, no matter how favorite it is.
Let's hear
that's a
that
nice
real quick.
list.
It's my canceled list. It's kind of funny that I forget some teams are on here, but UConn, men's basketball, Indiana, men's basketball, Creighton, men's basketball, Texas, men's basketball, Detroit Tigers, Jason Day, and I added Kentucky recently.
Jason.
Did you bet Kentucky versus Tennessee at home?
I bet Kentucky at South Carolina like a week or so ago.
Tough that Jason Day is the only like single individual on that list.
I don't know.
It's probably
It was funny because I hadn't added to that
US
list in a
Open,
while, and I opened it
Masters.
up and Jason Day was on it. It was funny. I think I canceled Jason Day because I had Jason Day in my pool, and I lost
The
by,
Masters
like, 2
pool.
strokes because
He shot,
Jason Day was at
86
like
on Sunday.
yes. Canceled.
That's good.
I gotta find my list. I don't think I watched one recently. I watched
Send me
I watched
Snapchat.
the one that I watched. I watched the
Black
Prisoner
Lives
or something.
the Black Mass. I
and
think that's what it was called. It was all right. I mean, it was
I
just
feel like
all
those
right.
mafia movies kind of drag. They get long.
I felt like it didn't drag. I just was like, I don't know. I was expecting something else. I was expecting like a curveball or something in there, and I never got it. It just was ho hum. And I thought the acting wasn't very good in it.
You didn't
Like-
think Johnny Depp was good?
Johnny Depp was fantastic, but like the
Yes.
the agent, like basically the second, I don't know what it's called, the supporting actor, like he was like almost like basically the main character for most of it. He sucked. I don't think he did very well. I don't remember that guy's name, but so I watched that. I don't know, not that long ago.
Bless you.
But I
Thank you.
just don't have time, and I usually, if I come home late, I just go to bed.
Evan,
No, I mean, I get that.
is LCA the coolest venue you've ever coached at?
Have you been to Ann Arbor Huron?
I feel like he's coached at a lot of places. I don't know if there's any others
Have
that
you
I don't
been
know
to
of.
Jackson Lumen Christie? I mean, come on.
I'll be doing that on
There's
Monday,
super
Alex.
ones. Oh, it's cool. It's cool.
Yes, definitely, absolutely.
It's cool. I'm glad the stink of the Pistons didn't like ruin the moment. I'm glad it still like delivered that it was an NBA venue, which was unique to play on.
Joel
it was cool.
Edgerton.
Well, like I
Nice.
said,
He's the supporting actor of Black Mass.
He was the
So add him
agent
to your
that
list
got-
next to Jason Day.
I don't have to worry about him. He's just betting. I don't have to ever bet with Joe Egerton, whatever his name was. But yes, Grant, LCA
Over,
was
under.
definitely the top.
Oscars.
I can rip mine off quick. I don't have a ton, similar to Alex.
You and Mercer go on a date.
We went to
Grant has a kid for some people.
yeah, child.
What a miss. What a
Turned
miss
1
on
this
that
year.
Post.
Podcasted through raising a baby. No, but went down to
You should clarify
Alabama.
Grant, to the people that you don't have a baby right now.
for Marissa's nephew. Turned 1. Kind of like a family reunion thing because they got a lot of people to go down. Obviously, the baby will not remember of any of that, but there was a lot of laughs along the way, some funny moments, and shout out to the child. I feel weird saying the child's name. I don't think that's a big deal, but I'm just not going to say it. Just I feel like privacy around children is more sensitive. So he was very good at interacting with the toys he got. So that made it fun. The only takeaways, not going to be the guy that just complains about airlines. I just had some funny stories that from Atlanta where Alex had his incident. The Atlanta airport absolutely has bodied the show. Evan, have you ever been in the Atlanta airport?
I made that airport my bitch. What do you mean?
No, because when you guys went to the Peach Bowl, you drove. Because I was thinking Evan probably had to go there at some point. But
yeah,
we drove Peach Bowl.
We drove because we made a couple pit stops.
Yeah.
At good old-fashioned Waffle Houses in Nashville, to and from.
Yeah. So if you go there, Evan, odds are not in your favor.
I'm going to try to avoid it now.
The biggest thing was I got there Friday morning. I had a shuttle scheduled for 11:30 a.m. to take me from Atlanta Airport to Auburn, Alabama, which is an hour and a half commute. So they have a nice shuttle service that's cheaper than Uber to take you. So 11:30, I land at 10:11. So I have over an hour, wheels on the ground to get to the shuttle station. We were supposed to land at 10:45. We landed a half hour early, which was apparently too early that we had to wait for our gate. And then it turned into the Atlanta airport did not account for our plane to have a gate. I kid you not, we sat on the plane after landing for an hour and a half, which is the longest I've ever had a situation like that.
That's like the same thing that happened to me.
Crazy. Why was so funny. Keep happening? I don't know. By the third time, the pilot came on the loudspeaker and said, "I have bad news." People on the plane started booing him. It was hilarious. People were just actively booing the pilot. So needless to say, I missed the shuttle, had to reschedule to 12:30. So I had to kill some time in the airport. That all worked out fine. And then the way home was a later flight at 7:30. And that got pushed back to 8:30 early in the day, which I knew was a terrible sign if your flight's getting pushed back at 10 a.m. already, that they're just way behind schedule. So I don't think I took off from Atlanta until 10 p.m., which led to a 1:30 a.m. hit the pillow on Monday morning. So it was I had to catch up on some sleep, but that was pretty much it. And I was wondering, Alex, as I was there, I kept envisioning you sprinting through this airport. So you know how the airport is structured kind of funky, I guess, compared to Detroit. There's the tram downstairs, and then you have to go up steep escalators to get to all the concourses.
Yes.
Did you sprint up one of those escalators by people?
Yes, sir.
That's crazy. I was thinking, I was like, this is the steepest incline.
I sprinted down those and up them in the span of 8 minutes.
Because you had to go back on the tram to get to the International.
To get on the tram. Took the tram to the International, then had to sprint up those escalators to get to mine.
Insane.
Yeah, it was awful.
That's insane.
My legs hurt so bad.
Wow, the tram had to be really stressful too, though, because you have no control over how fast that goes.
Yeah, that's when everyone was calling me. So I was like, guys, I can't make it go faster. I got a question, though. I watched a Netflix documentary this weekend.
Okay.
So you guys remember that Malaysia plane that disappeared?
I'm not bringing this up. I don't believe in conspiracy theories. Go ahead.
I'm not. I'm just going to simply ask you a question.
What do you remember? The plane disappeared.
Do you remember what happened?
Yes.
It just disappeared. It
goes off it's like flying from Malaysia to Beijing, gets halfway. They're going into a different airspace. They're the pilot says goodnight from MH370 to the Malaysia people because he's switching airspaces. So then you have to go into the other countries' radio waves or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a pilot. Switches over to that. And then when he switches over to that, the plane completely goes off the radar and is gone. And then nobody ever hears from them again. And nobody knows where the plane went. And still, 10 years later, nobody knows.
I thought they found the black box recently.
I don't think so.
I thought they found it recently. I could be totally wrong. Obviously, I'm not. I'm disconnected from basically the real world.
I didn't. There was 20 minutes left in the last episode. I didn't, because they were just going through wild conspiracies at that point. I'm like, I'm not.
Imagine the last 20 minutes. It's we found the black box, totally normal, nothing to see here.
No, because they say multiple times this is unresolved.
So what do you
does
think?
that happen?
Well, no,
Like, what?
I don't care about that. Where do you think they're at?
Yeah, what's your theory, Alex? You watched all this.
They're dead. Everyone's dead.
You think so? You sure?
Yes, because they talk to like family members of people on this plane, and like it was a dad was talking on this, and his like wife and 2 like kids were on that plane. I'm pretty sure his wife and kids weren't just going to never speak to anybody ever again. I mean, there's like telling me a 13-year-old.
Is there a way that like an airplane can like blow up in like middle of the air because of pressure or something like that?
My thought was like they had just a catastrophic failure in the air and it just blew to smithereens in the air. But then again, you would have found something in that area, and they searched that area for like 2 years and found nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's like
the bottom of some water.
If I'm placing blame of how it happened, 75% has to go towards the pilot is sus and maybe wanted to take his own life, and then he took everyone down with him.
I'll give you the theories. The first one was the pilot wanted to do that. He commits mass murder. He like shuts the air off, so they all die on the plane, and then he flies it back through all the way to like the other side until it runs out of fuel, and then he just nosedives it into the Indian Ocean. That was one. 2 was that Americans, those little like drone planes we have?
Yeah.
They thought that there was suspicious cargo on that going to Beijing, and that was going to give China a leg up, and that we took it out. And it's a giant United States national government secret.
I wouldn't put it past us.
And then the third one was that it was hijacked by Russians. This one's pretty far-fetched. It's hijacked by Russians. They rob the plane. They turn the gas off or the air off. All the people died while they're wearing masks. Then they turned the little tracker thing off from below the plane because they figured out you could do that, but no one knew how to do that beforehand, but they think that they figured it out. So they turn it off, and then they fly all the way to Kazakhstan and like land it or whatever, and then the Russians hit it.
Dude, it's in the middle of the water, bro. It's in the bottom of the ocean.
They searched.
Well, they didn't search good enough.
Evan, they'd find it if it was in water.
Evan, they find everything. They've never not found one. It just makes no sense. I think about
it blew up in the middle of the air, and the rest of it is in the bottom of the ocean.
Was it a normal commercial flight?
Yes.
Yeah, this is a big ass plane. This is like a Boeing.
Huge, like tons of people.
And just like travel.
I just was looking at it was like 200 passengers and 12 crew members.
Jesus. It's a travesty. It's really sad.
Insane.
But it is one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in our history.
With the modern technology of today, when I was watching this, I was thinking, because we were just like juniors in high school when this happened, so we probably didn't care. Crazy,
it's arguably more suspicious than like the pyramids. Like people wonder how the pyramids went up. Well, that makes sense because like no one had technology back then. It's arguably crazier we couldn't find this plane with all the technology we have.
Yes, the fact that it just erases from the radar has never happened ever in the history of planes.
Yeah, it's wild.
So I watched that, and I was like watching it, hoping I would get some clarification, and I have more questions. So if I die and there's a God and I go to heaven, first question I'm asking, what happened to that plane?
No way, that's the first question.
No, it's not.
Who killed JFK?
That's not my first question.
Was 11 an inside job?
That could be a question. No, I'm not asking that. I don't think 11 was an inside job.
Nothing better than before our Miami trip, Alex texted the group like the day before being like, just watching 9/11 doc. Hopefully everything goes well for us. It's like, dude, read the room
I do
one
that?
time. Yes. I vividly remember we all want to get on planes to go to Miami for a football game. You're like, hey, I just watched this last night. Let's be careful out there, boys. It's like, okay, like Alex.
I just have I have a massive fascination with 9/11.
Basically anything that's a conspiracy with planes you enjoy.
I don't enjoy. I wouldn't say I enjoy it. I just find it I'm just very curious about it. All because of Mr. Mark. I blame him.
A little too curious. Stop asking questions, Alex.
Mr. Mark showed us 8 9/11 conspiracy videos in a row in the last 2 weeks of AP Gov, so I blame him.
I would for sure love to smoke some dope and talk about conspiracies with Mr. Mark. Aliens, man.
Yeah, it'd be funny. Does he still does he still work there, Evan?
Yeah. Dude, he's OG, man. That place is going to burn to the ground when he retires.
Pajama pants?
He wore them twice last year. I don't have them this year.
Yes.
Wears them for homecoming in the fall. And
is he the same? Does he still like talk the same, act the same?
Is he still badass? Yes.
Is he getting older?
He is getting older, but he's still badass.
Teacher.
He's still like everyone's favorite teacher.
Wrote me a recommendation letter.
Wow.
Anyways.
All right. Let's hop into
Planes.
From Malaysian to Spain Planes to the Lions. So that flight never returned. Speaking of two people that did return, Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. They're back.
Round of applause.
Huge.
Great job by those air traffic controllers.
Now, I guess besides there's some weeds we could get into, but this is more high level. The biggest thing that I'm curious about from your guys' perspective, let's go with Evan first here, is when you saw that they both returned, did it increase your positivity for next season? Did it change your morale? What went through your head when you saw that they were both returning?
Absolutely, 100% positive only. Anytime you can have the same coordinators, successful coordinators, scheme doesn't change, play calling doesn't change, similar faces in the locker room. I think two top guys that are respected in the league by coaches and players. And I think Ben Johnson's obviously one of the best offensive coordinators in the league. So anytime you retain him, can only mean improvement from the offense and can only mean improvement for the defense with Aaron Glenn coming back.
Alex, your sentiments?
Yeah. Reminder that Aaron Glenn was voted by his peers as the best coordinator in the NFL.
Best defensive coordinator.
Yeah, his peers. Ben Johnson did not win that. Aaron Glenn did.
I think Aaron Glenn, throughout his entire Lions career, he has put Band-Aids over huge gaping holes. And
easy there, Tiger.
Gaping.
I didn't say he filled them. I said he put Band-Aids over and covered them up.
Just a
he did his best with what he
word.
has. And I think a lot of people would still agree with us. Our defense is still far from competitive football.
I like Aaron. Anyways.
Well, he's your neighbor.
Former.
We was. Yeah, I think getting them back was the biggest move of the NFL offseason so far.
I think getting Ben Johnson back has been the biggest move so far.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
This was the biggest offseason move for sure.
No.
Nah.
Because Ben Johnson's a head coach.
Nobody's even talking about it anymore.
We have 2 head coaches on our team. We have 3 head coaches on our team.
I don't know if Aaron Glenn will ever be a head coach.
Too many cooks in the kitchen. I'm just kidding.
Aaron Glenn is starting to get to the point where he's been interviewing for head coaching jobs for 3 years now and hasn't gotten one. So I wonder if he's Eric Bieniemy. He'll probably never get one.
Well, they're saying his price is too high.
I thought Ben's.
There were so many rumors about this Washington thing that I just don't even care to.
Well, Washington ran a smear campaign about Ben afterwards.
Yeah.
It's kind of from
Washington. Why would you go there?
But in fairness, it wasn't really Ben Johnson's fault. Like, from what I read, it was he told his agent to contact him, and his agent kind of did him dirty. Holy cow. And just his agent was the one that sent a text message like, yeah, we don't want to go there.
I think the problem was Ben decided that while they were on their way. Like, would you
I think like you're a grown ass man
and faked it through.
Yeah, but this is like
the whole interview and be like,
there's a whole thing where like you just sit through the interview, you do the whole thing, and then at the end you're just like pay your respect and be like, hey, thanks, but no thanks. Yeah, but like the pettiness and it was like high school drama. Like you told me too late. You broke up with me over a text message. It's like grown men like get over it. And then there was also rumors
Continue.
But like, there's rumors that Ben Johnson just doesn't like the front office people. He doesn't like the baseball style of it. Not many football guys.
basketball. But yeah, same idea. Because the guy that owns it owns
Magic.
the Sixers too.
Oh, the one thing I read said baseball. Sorry, my bad.
But yeah, I think the breaking up with a girl over text is the perfect analogy, which I'm always going to have Ben Johnson's back. I get why the Washington people released their thing. I understand why Ben's camp said they're basketball guys. The point to me that was overlooked in the whole thing was they were flying to Detroit to talk to Aaron Glenn too. So if they're really that mad, were they basically just saying we don't care about Aaron Glenn? Like we were actually here for Ben and we're just Rudy ruining it for Aaron Glenn? Because that's a little shady as well. Like they kind of dug them in a hole because they were going to
bring
see
the
both.
Rooney rule in. Because
Well, that's what a lot.
They already interviewed people, so that didn't matter.
Okay, well that's good to know. I didn't know where they were at in the process, but I can see though where they'd be annoyed that like Ben could just call them on the phone. But Ben's a busy guy, and he's probably a unique cat. I don't know his social skills. Maybe he's just. I
think he's Jim Harbaugh kind of weird. I think he's very similar weirdness. Ben's definitely weird.
There is
but why would you
overreaction?
It's tough
because it's a drama-filled world.
Yeah, but you're a top 30 person, and then you have a good thing going for you. Grass isn't always greener on the other side. And then you basically have to rebuild that whole team just because of the finance and cap situation. Your fan base hates you. Half the people want you to change your name back, and you have the worst stadium in the NFL.
DC's cool.
Now, all that's going to change with the new ownership, but you're not going to be able to rebuild a stadium next year. Not going to be able to rebuild a practice facility next year.
Sick uniforms.
The thing is, like that's the thing that I kept thinking of is like people just in the national media aren't seem to accepting that in our culture.
Washington job isn't that
advanced. Just getting a promotion's not always the best thing when you're at that level. Like to us, getting a promotion when we're young in our careers, and it's not like the stakes of becoming a head coach. Like, yeah, sign me up for a promotion because like we're trying to go up. But I think that's bled into this sport where like, what if we don't know his salary right now? What if Ben Johnson just got a promotion salary wise to where he's making close to the bottom tier NFL head coaches? Then it would make sense to stay here because he's got ultimate job security.
And he has full reign on the offense here in Detroit.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell has zero handcuffs on him.
And he likes his boss, loves his boss. So it's like, I don't know. I think people need to remind themselves of that outside of Detroit, that like, I know we're the Lions and people look at us like a joke for the last 30 years until this season, but that doesn't mean people are just going to bolt to go to the Commanders or Panthers, the two ones that he turned down. Those are not like great jobs.
I don't think people realize when you reach the top, if you become a head coach and you have a terrible 2 years or 1 year or whatever it is and get fired, it can ruin your whole outlook on your career. You might never make it even back to being a highly sought after offensive coordinator.
NFL has been getting more cutthroat where like recently you get like 2 or 3 years, 3 or 4 years.
Get like 8 games now.
Now they're cutting ties like a year. I know what his name was. Stephen Wilkes got a year in Arizona before things change. So
who was the Lions backup quarterback? Frank Reich. He got 10 games this year?
Yes.
Matt Rule got 11 games.
We almost fired Dan last year on the show.
Well, that was like
close.
game 5. They were not even considering firing him. So
it's just. I'm with you, Alex. Like getting fired, like it is hard to come back from. Obviously, you're always like, "Hey, can I go back to like my old buddies?" But sometimes there aren't openings there.
Yeah, and also I just wanted to talk about while we're on this real quick. You were a big pound the table guy for Eric Bieniemy, and Dan Quinn fired him in less than 24 hours once he got to the Commanders. After the Commanders went with Dan Quinn. So sorry.
Yeah, I still think he's a good play caller. I think his personnel issues and everything there kind of affected that, but I would still back him.
Where Eric Bieniemy lands. Should have never left Andy Reid.
I think he wanted to get out from the umbrella, and I think that Washington was the best spot for it. I wouldn't pick Washington.
Cliff Kingsbury just got hired over him.
Well, yeah, because they're trying to go all in for Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
But there's also another rumor that the Commanders are going to draft Marvin Harrison and then try to trade for Justin Fields.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Buckeyes.
But there's
That'd
also
be
rumors
sick.
that the Steelers are going to try to trade for Justin Fields.
Where do you read all these rumors?
Bleacher Report.
I just scroll. I just start scrolling, and then like team feeds just pop up, and I click on it and start reading it. They're a little far fetched, but I'm like, well, there's always there's smoke, there's fire. So,
dude, I had
a year ago, Evan didn't even like the NFL, and now he loves it. How times have
love
changed.
No, Evan loves off-season storylines.
I absolutely hate
loves the drama.
In the NFL, you get 4 possessions in one half of football. It's disgusting.
It's the same amount of time as college.
Speed up the game. I want more possessions.
Speaking of a sport that is trying to better itself, college football. Not on field. On field's still pretty cool. I enjoy the pageantry. The off field's kind of a mess. A shit show, for lack of a better term.
Always will be.
So much so that I don't know if you guys saw late breaking news on Friday, the Big Ten and SEC made a handshake deal to be partners to try to reshape the sport, which is something I got my eye on in terms of the power struggle between the NCAA and the conferences. The Big Ten and SEC kind of laid it down on the table saying, hey, NCAA, you keep attacking Tennessee of the world and other schools. We're just going to make an alliance and tell you that like we're the bosses now. So this is more like just keep an eye on it more than anything substantial.
You know what
I
think this is?
The Big Ten, ACC, and whatever conference made their alliance, and that lasted all of like a half of a month, and then they all broke it, and then Big Ten's left.
That's different, though. The SEC is a big player. That wasn't with the SEC.
I think this is more.
I know. This is bigger because it's the 2 biggest.
I think it's more Big Ten, SEC trying to become the powers and try to weed out all the other conferences. I think that's what it's going to turn into.
I think we'll get there eventually.
I don't think it's more like, we're going to be good at for all. I think the Big Ten, SEC see 2 visions where it's, okay, we're the 2 best conferences. How can we just become bigger and until all the teams join us for football, and then we just separate from the NCAA? I think big picture they want to fight the NCAA, but I think those conferences, it's all about money. So
the Big Ten and SEC are the only conferences worth anything now.
You really think if the Big 12 called the SEC and Big Ten when they were having their meeting and they asked for like, hey, this is what we think, do you really think the Big Ten and SEC will listen to them? Hell no.
I think I really need to understand like what the NCAA actually is in charge of and governs.
Everything.
Like,
well, the NCAA was created to prevent deafs playing for college football. That's what it was created for during the Teddy Roosevelt era. And now they became the balloon into overseeing every single sport.
But like the college football playoff is not governed by the NCAA.
Correct.
It's a shit show. That's the whole point of this alliance.
No sense.
Yeah, but you can argue
that all
the players are athletes. But Dartmouth is going to court because the union thing got passed where now they are school employees. So now that has to go back to court. So the players can technically unionize and start getting salaries and whatnot and more time off.
What's going to happen is the NIL thing is going to die out. Kids will still get NIL, but it's going to get regulated, and all that stuff is going to change because they can't just the absolute nightmare free for all that is occurring right now with the transfer portal and everything else. The sport will die if they just let that go forever. It won't work. You'll have 8 teams that can do it.
The biggest thing is that they're going to try to solve most of the problems with a couple things, and then new problems are going to come up, and it's just going to be kicking the can.
Yeah, it always happens. But you got to fix the big issues.
The current pace they're at is unsustainable, and I think this was the first sign and tipping point that the big hitters in the room that hold all the media rights are like, okay, we need to work together to figure out what's going on. And so I'm very intrigued to see how this plays out. Part of me just wants to ignore it and just focus on the on-field product. But while we're in the off-season period, I guess this is the intriguing stuff that goes on right now. Just caught my eye because I'm glad that our teams that we root for are in the big boy conference. That makes me feel good because it's nice to be in the major leagues of college football because the other ones are slippery slope right now.
Thank God we were born in Michigan.
Yes. Speaking of college in Michigan, So I had versus MSU Hoops on here. They played, but that feels like it was eternity ago. In general, I'm more intrigued in your guys' mentals on MSU after last night as well. So what was it? It was, since we recorded, it was a Michigan win,
2 wins,
Maryland win, this loss. I saw a lot of the fan base on Twitter, the echo chamber, just really down in the dumps last night. And I don't know if it's
still down in the dumps today. A lot of funny memes.
Yeah. MSU Twitter is great at self-deprecation. I'll give them that. They know how to make fun of themselves, which I appreciate.
Because every loss for Michigan State Twitter is like the end of the world. Like, the end of the world. Our fan base sucks on Twitter, but...
That's why I don't have it. I don't need you sending me those memes, Evan.
Alex, they were funny.
The Sissoko one was hilarious, and I love Sissoko, but that was funny.
I will just say on the record, AJ has not played great this year, but those acting like the Michigan State only lost because of him yesterday when we missed 11 free throws and he missed 1, which just happened to be that one. You could just be like, hey, Malik, don't miss 4 in a row before that. Hey, Carson, don't miss 2 in a row.
We scored 9 points in the last 13 minutes of the game.
Yeah, so let's just all relax.
Technically 11. Technically 11 if you take away Tyson Walker's last layup with 2 seconds left. We're 9 points in the last 13 minutes of the ball game. We're not a jump shooting team. We have one pure shooter, and everybody else is a slasher. And you can't. You need a jump shooter.
I say we have 2.
Aiken's been hot the last 2 games.
Aikens is a
jump shooter, not a 3-point shooter. I'm saying a jump shooter. You look at the old Michigan State teams, pull up from 12 feet, boom, easy 2.
Walker,
a mid-range shooter is what you're saying?
Alex, like anytime you have open space on the court, you should be able to pull
a 3-pointer is a jump shot.
But I'm classifying the perimeter shots different than a mid-range jump shot.
Mid-range jumper. Okay, mid-range J. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, we have one guy that can.
We have one.
Yes,
and you can get more high-volume shots from having a guaranteed walking bucket from 12 feet.
So I appreciate the analysis because I think it's important. I get Alex defending his guy, but I will be total trust tree.
I'm not totally defending him.
I'm done with the big man. I'm done with the big man lineups too. Like, play small ball. Like, I really don't give a shit at this point.
We're thinking
just ask
bigger.
Your question, Grant. Just step. And then
every time Grant keeps on talking, I just think of something else that just pisses me off.
No, I want you guys to get it out. But
I want Grant to ask a stupid question.
It's not stupid. It's real. I'm not talking about salvaging this season and X's and O's of this team. We have talked about this team the last 3 seasons and like waiting for it to click and like
it's still the same team.
Banking on Hogarth's All-American Denzel Valentine season. Like we had these talks.
Michigan State misses Joey Hauser. Fuck all those fans that hated him.
Evan, just please let Grant ask his question, and then can you just go on your 20-minute rant after that?
I don't need to go on a 20-minute rant anymore.
It feels scary to say. It feels like a heavy task at this point. Like, this season is what it is. If something crazy happens in March, then I'll eat crow and we'll go back to this and be like, Grant, you idiot, down to the GOAT. Like, this class graduating, like, do we have the confidence and the faith that at his age as well, that Izzo is going to turn this ship around and like adapt to new college basketball transfer? Or do we think this is like a fizzling out towards the end is what my big picture is happening as I watch this season?
I don't think it's like, now you can argue, well, he got Tyson Walker as a transfer. I don't think you really need to hit the transfer portal. I think Izzo needs to make a couple different like personnel situations. He took a risk with Sissoko. I think Alex and I talked about this not that long ago. He took a risk with Sissoko and completely flopped, and that's what's hurting most of this team. Is a post player, and he's always had a post player. He has to change the philosophy of the offense, and then we say, well, you have Xavier Booker. But I also don't agree with all these like hype and like the ratings of these high school athletes. I'd rather trust a guy that's done it for 30 years and what he sees in fit. Yes. Do I want him to play more? Absolutely. Do I want Cohen Carr to play more? Yes, absolutely. But I don't think he has to dive into the transfer portal. I think he needs to just kind of adapt his own personal fits a little bit more. I'd go away from the traditional post player. Yeah, can you win college basketball as a traditional post player? Yeah, absolutely. But there's not that many around anymore. They can't win. They're not going to win in the tournament because they can't because Matt Painter's a fraud. And Zach Edey should actually be in jail because he's buying weed as an NCAA player.
I don't think that was even Zach Edey. That guy did not look 7 foot. Whatever. To answer your question, do I think you're basically asking me, is this the end of Izzo? Will he ever like get a realistic chance at number 2? That's what you're asking me, right?
Yeah, no, essentially.
He had a realistic chance in 2019. Blew it.
Evan.
You asked for a realistic opportunity. I'm saying yes.
Facts are,
you listen to
facts
talent.
He also lost 2020
COVID.
to a disease. So
did Butler, which sucked. We would have met in the finals. I think about it every day.
The fake disease that everybody freaked out about. Cut.
To answer your question, Grant, I think that this offseason will be telling. I'm going to disagree with Evan. I do think we need to use the transfer portal. I don't think we need to use it in the transfer portal that necessarily everyone else is thinking. You want to cut me off, Evan? Go ahead.
No, I don't. I just thought of a point I really want to say.
It looks urgent. It
does look urgent.
Go ahead.
I'm fine with going to the transfer portal. I don't think we need it. Like, I don't think you need it. You can use your classes and build a program that way instead of the transfer Band-Aid fixes. However, there's stats out there that saying transfers, 5th year, 4th year transfers or whatever, are averaging more points than the freshmen are. Second, I think you look collectively, what have we missing the last couple of years? I think our assistant coaches have dwindled in their performance overall and developing these players throughout the years. You lose two top assistants. You can say all you want about Dane Fife and what he did, but he developed his guards differently. And then Dwayne Stevens was the number one post-player development that we've had in our program. He's been here since early 2000s. 90s of playing and then turned into a coach under Izzo. He leaves and you're not getting too much production. There's got to be a common denominator there. Now you can argue, okay, Mark Montgomery's back on the staff. He was there with Izzo when he was making the early championship runs. Okay, but then why aren't our guards developing like they were earlier?
Well, I think I'm going to finish my first initial answer to Rent's question, and then I'm going to go back.
There's a lot to unpack here.
I need to go back to that, but just hold. I think this offseason will be a telling offseason because I think the team in general has good pieces every year. There's talent on the team pretty much every year. So what we miss in the last 3 years is scoring. You could easily go into the transfer portal and find like a 5th year from Indiana State that wants to transfer up. I think those are the types of dudes that we should be going for, not necessarily like Caleb Loves or Hunter Dickinson's. I don't think we need those type of players to be a good team. I think we need like guys that, like Evan said, fit our mold. And then if you can get, you have to get transfers. You can't rely on.
Joey,
you have the number 2 recruiting class, and you rely on none of them. None of them are actual like steady contributors on this team. Fears was pretty good, but he, got shot, which is a bummer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if in this offseason, when you're going to have a bunch of people leave, you're only going to have 3 freshmen coming in. Evan, just please hold. 3 freshmen coming in. If you don't hit the transfer portal this year.
Technically, we'll have 4, Alex, because we're redshirting our Greg from Texas.
Yeah, but like I said, they're all young guys, and then Fears will be coming off a gunshot. So you need to bring in veterans, like almost like the Butler mold. Not to bring Butler into this, but like,
hell yeah,
Butler
holy shit, we'll have to bring in transfers because Aikens is gone.
Butler brings
Hall's
in 3
gone,
transfers.
Sissoko's gone. Hogarth's gone. Walker's gone.
Aiken's gone.
So I think again, not to go bigger picture here, not to.
If they don't do that, they're dead. That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying too, it's a philosophy because of his age. I'm just talking about Tom Izzo. I'm not talking about this program 15 years from now. No, because
I think Tom Izzo will. I think he will do it. Because I think he hates losing just as much as the rest of us. I think he will do
Aaron
it.
Harris, transfer.
Yeah, we've had transfers. Brent Forbes, Brandon Wood.
Forbes transfer.
Joey Hauser, Tyson Walker. Yeah, there's a bunch. There's a bunch of transfers we had. And I think he will do it. I think he's been reluctant to do it. And I think he didn't do it the last couple years because he was afraid of guys within the program leaving because they'll feel like, oh, you're bringing in a transfer, he'll take my spot. And he said this on the record multiple times that like he's trying to like not upset his team. And I think he's just this summer going to be like, I don't care about your feelings anymore. I'm going to bring guys in that are going to
He's not going to have to hurt
better.
that many feelings because there's not going to be as many guys around.
And he's not going to worry about it. He worried about, like, last offseason, there was a million rumors that Jaden Akins wanted to leave because he wasn't getting the ball enough.
And then fucking 8 guys on roster. You can bring in 6
like
guys.
The Bridges kid that starts on Baylor, we were recruiting him. Akins didn't like that. His family got all messed up about it. So then we stopped recruiting him. He goes to Baylor. Now he starts. Like, there's been a couple of scenarios like that where Izzo just gets like too in the weeds about caring about guys that are already on his team.
But in fairness, Izzo,
because I don't think he likes losing.
Izzo is loyal to people.
And like you said, all these guys are going to be gone.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them were swings and misses for the most part. I will say that saying the guards haven't developed, Trey Hallman was garbage last year, and he's a lot better this year, so he is getting better. Hogart was fat and horrible his freshman year. So, I mean, these dudes are getting
Still
better.
Is fat.
It's just maybe they didn't turn into Cassius Winston or Kalen Lucas or other. We were spoiled. That's the problem. We've had incredible success. And now
simply just
average.
It's hard once you get to the top, it's hard to stay up there. I mean, look at the other top programs.
They all
have walls.
I mean, yeah, it happens. I think they will rise again.
When was the last time Kentucky won the national championship?
To Alex's point, if he doesn't go like that, like a whole 180 of his approach this offseason, I think it's over. Like I just don't see it because I'm not going to tell. Obviously, he knows himself better. You're not going to tell another man how long he's going to coach, but it's going to be 70 about a year from now. He's, you get up there in age. He already said he's not retiring this offseason. People can change their minds though. Like everyone leaves. Like I don't think he's got the time as a coach age-wise to just ride out a class. Like, because if he doesn't, let's say he just picks 1 or 2 people from the portal, like he's done sporadically throughout the past, you're relying on a group of basically sophomores that are unproven to take you to the heights you want to get. I just think he's running out of time. Like, it's not his fault. It's just the time.
And you know what?
Like, he's got to go. He's got to reload every year.
He has
and just
this
go
season and 4 more after that, and then he's done.
If he wants to ride the sophomores, I'd be
he's going
behind
75.
his back. I'm going to be behind his back, whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, he's a legend. You can't. Yeah, I get it.
He's going 74, 75. He's going to coach.
I mean, he's
Jason Richardson's son,
favorite coach of all time.
Until he finishes, will be. And then that's going to be it. When Jason Richardson's son's done, I think he's done.
Well, then he has time to write out this class. Then maybe I'd take it back.
It'd be sweet because as soon as he retires, Draymond Green takes over as head coach. Sail off into the sunset.
It's unfortunate he's been punching a lot of guys in the face, Evan. So I think we're on the Howard route.
I don't think he would punch me. Different circumstances.
No, he would be Juwan Howard 2.0.
It would not go well.
We'd be so screwed.
The good news is, Evan, we're still top, minimum top 10 job in college basketball. So when Izzo leaves, that coach search can be pretty cool.
It would suck. It's going to suck.
It's a race for Nate Oates.
It's going to be Nate.
They lost tonight, though. They lost.
He'll be our coach.
Maybe, but would you guys?
Who do I want?
No.
You guys don't even need to think that yet.
Jay Wright.
Tony Bennett.
A lot of time.
Bring him out.
Tony
Bennett. 4 years from now. It's
Thad Mata,
Alex.
Yeah, we got 4 years.
He's an alum.
He's an alum.
Tony Bennett.
They're jokes.
There's my guy, Tony Bennett.
We'd watch the same thing, just a little better defense, no offense. It'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm actually sick of
Get behind the pack line.
I have a question.
I told you.
Yeah, what's your question?
Is this the lowest point of Michigan basketball in your life?
Yeah.
They won today. What are you talking about?
I think we at least have to mention that Michigan State had the lowest football moments of our lives this year, and you guys are having your lowest moments of basketball of our lives. So it's nice to hear someone else is suffering sometimes.
If we're being totally honest, the Tommy Amaker end of his run was the lowest because there wasn't even quote unquote a lot of talent on those teams. But I was young.
Manny Harris, bro.
Yeah,
Manny Harris was one of the best players I've ever seen. That's true.
Zach was there. Zach Nowak was there on those teams.
Who was the big number 34?
We should know it was
32.
Manny Harris.
Oh, Sean, something.
No, Manny
Sims.
Harris number
Sims.
3. Yeah, Sims. Sims was good.
Was a dog. Yeah, but like it was like what? It was basically a Minnesota team with Jamison Battle. Like you're just
Holy
having
crap!
one
It's
guy
gonna be
that
so
can
funny
actually
when
score.
Michigan State hires John
Jameson
Beal
Battles
as
at
their next
Ohio
head coach.
State.
When he was at Minnesota. That's what I'm talking about. What do you say, Evan?
It's gonna be so funny when Michigan State hires John Beeline as their next head coach.
He's older. He's going to be just as old.
I would curse John's name. He'd never do
It's
that.
going to be
to me.
some young guy we don't even know yet that's just working his way up right now.
Yeah, it's the lowest
disgusting.
point.
Look at
And it was
Villanova.
even
though,
lower.
Alex. You want that?
That
Relax. man.
Michigan had like over the last 10 games, I think they had led at halftime in most of them and then ended up losing. And the one time I tried to capitalize on that betting wise tonight, I thought Wisconsin would for sure come back from being 4 points down at half, put $30 on it. Nope. The one time Michigan actually closes out a game. So I'm
You
on
wanna
the
hear
wrong
a
side
stat?
of betting as well. It's the
Want
lowest
to hear a
point.
stat about Michigan through the 11 games in the Big Ten?
Sure. It's kind of irrelevant.
It's funny. They're plus 27 combined in the first half of Big Ten games. And they're minus 113 in the second half of games this year. That is like just strictly coaching. Strictly. It's horrendous.
And depth
That's
of talent.
horrendous.
And the fact that they don't have a strength coach because Juwan kicked him off the team essentially.
Not to
They're not,
mention that
probably working out.
their first half
It's everything.
margin is fourth best in the Big Ten. Their second half margin is the worst by 50 points.
We're spending too much time on a team that doesn't matter right now.
Dude, it's just, I mean, we can't just not talk about a historically horrendous basketball team.
I mean, like if you want,
Yeah,
if,
but Alex,
if it
that's not
gets you
fun.
going, we can. But like, this isn't moving the needle. Like everyone, the ship has already sailed. Like we knew going into the year, there's just nothing there. It's the worst place to be. It's worse than Michigan State because it's just like no one even cares. The ticket to get in tonight was $1 to see Wisconsin. That's the lowest. That's the lowest point. $1 to get in.
This is the lowest point in the history of Michigan basketball. No one even cares.
A McChicken is more expensive than a Michigan basketball ticket right now.
Nobody even cares. That's the part that blows my mind. Like Michigan, just
maybe
no one cares
StubHub
about
fees.
Michigan basketball. Like no one has
No.
ever. You guys only care when they were good under Beeline, and then you're like, let's go back to like not caring about it. That's it.
Yeah, they're a football
fans?
school, and also it's like as much as people can talk about Ward Manuel, like we just have no faith in our athletic director to do a single thing. So what's the point?
Ward Manuel won you a national championship in football,
didn't.
Grant.
No, he did not. No, he did not. He did not hire Jim Harbaugh, and he tried to get him to leave a million times. Ward
did
Manuel
hire
had
Jim?
nothing to do.
Great, you wanted him to leave. All you clowns
Dave.
wanted him to leave at one point. So don't act like Ward's the only guy that wanted him to leave.
Dave Hackett, I think.
From Hacker Jewelers.
Oh,
I did not want Jim to leave. I said I was cool if they moved on.
to Matt Campbell.
That is
To Matt Campbell.
Campbell. Oh,
But to be fair,
come on.
To be fair,
Hindsight's
everyone in the country thought Jim should be gone. Ohio State was liking tweets about his extension. Like everyone was clowning on Jim Harbaugh.
Michigan dunked Ohio State.
Even Ward.
Imagine if that game
can't be
happened.
mad at
That game might have actually got him fired if they didn't duck.
Probably would have.
No, I do think Ward had decided that like in that COVID year, finances were tight and they weren't going to go on a coaching search in the middle of COVID. I think a lot of schools did that. Looking back at that time period,
Makes sense.
Everybody
All right.
sucks. You know, always make
What are
more
we talking
money.
about now? Michigan's new football coaching staff?
we can if you want.
How
Yeah.
the Tigers signed a contract extension
having-
for a minor league player
No.
unheard of. Cole
No,
Keith.
that was not on my. Oh, Cole Keith
Evan.
is really good.
Yeah, he's really good, but he's never played a single pitch in the Major League Baseball. We signed him a huge contract extension that's kind of unheard of in the Tigers and Major League Baseball.
Homegrown, baby.
He's going
Homegrown.
to start for the Tigers with that contract. Bring the
Second
youth
base.
up, Alex. Get ready.
I'm not ready to
Better
watch
than what's
Tigers
good?
yet.
Who was there last year?
Who was there? Who was?
Jonathan
Willie Castro?
Scope. Yep, I'm cool with Colt Keith over Jonathan Scope.
Yeah, Alex. We're good.
I just want to know
Michigan
who's on
defense?
Michigan staff. I don't know. I haven't followed it.
Nobody.
Don't know who you guys have. I see your tweets
Nobody.
or your texts about your D coordinators you want, and then I just kind of look away because it's not.
Let me pull up the staff.
Scotty
real quick
Hazelton's
for you.
available.
No, he's not.
Scotty Hazelton can coach in the CFL. I think he'd do really good there.
That's mean.
Actually, he might be the only one that doesn't have a job from the old staff.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are a fine school or program school. I know we have 8. I know we have 8 coaches right now.
No, our offensive line coach got hired again.
Yeah, immediately.
Michigan football coaches.
That guy sucked.
Someone decent. He went to Baylor.
The biggest fraud.
Wow, this Baylor is bad. Alex,
Jay Johnson's coach. I'm looking at
2024 Michigan football coaches. They've updated the page. I looked at it earlier today. They have 8 coaches.
Grant, you should apply.
There's 10 openings, Grant, so they still need 2.
Well, I mean, like actual like coaches. Now I'm talking like analysts and all that stuff.
There's 10 on-field coaches, Grant. 10.
No, I don't think that's right.
Yes,
Grant,
it is.
apply.
There's 10 on-field coaches. No, you don't have 10 hired, but there's a football team has 10 on-field coaches that can recruit and are not like analysts.
No, I think you could have like 12 as like the staff. I'm pretty confident about
You're making me look it up.
I was looking at it today because I need to know how many more we're going to be hiring. I'm pretty sure 12 is the number you can be at for like when you look up
football staffs
coaches.
are limited to 1 head coach and 10 assistants.
10 assistants to 11.
I think it's 12.
I'm reading it. It's in front of my face.
It's hard to find old coaching staff websites, though. That's one thing I learned today. I'm going to go through the coaches on Michigan staff, unless you want to dive into the exact number more.
Oh, I know the exact number is 10 assistants because when Michigan State hired Jonathan Smith and they went through it, they hired 10 assistants that can do on-field and recruiting. You can have more than that, but you can only have 10 on the field plus your head coach.
But the head coach counts as a coach.
That's 11. That's not 12.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Hunter Stallions is available.
I think that's all of them. I don't have them all memorized. All right. I think
there you go. You have the whole staff figured out. It's filled.
No, that was last year's. I was looking at last year's staff to compare.
Yes, because you can only have 10 on-field assistants and 1 head coach.
But where's the mentor? I don't know. I'd have to look at it. I'm telling you, it's hard to find actual school's websites.
You can have 10 on-field assistants, and you can have 1 head coach. It's a fact. It's an NCAA rule.
I'm telling you.
There's that NCAA we were talking about again. That's one of their rules.
Wait.
It's a fact.
2, 3, 4.
I think that could change if they college football just gets rid of it.
No, I'm looking at 12 right here. 12.
Read their titles.
Jim Harbaugh, head coach. Ron Bellamy, safeties. Steve Klinkscale, defensive backs. Jay Harbaugh, special team. Mike Hart, running backs. George Hilo, linebacker. Sharon,
6,
offensive coordinator. Matt Campbell,
7.
offensive coordinator.
Doing both.
Jesse Minter, defense. Mike Elston, recruiting, defensive line. Grant Newsom, tight ends, and Ben Herbert, S&D, strength and conditioning.
Yeah, Ben Herbert's not an on-field coach. So that's that.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, that matters.
10. I said multiple times. 10 on-field assistant coaches that are allowed to recruit.
But we were talking about different things.
Ben Herbert our staff. Can't be on the field and recruit.
But I don't care about the on-field
thing. I don't care about the strength and conditioning coach of your team. I care about your 10 assistant coaches that can recruit.
Why? Strength and conditioning is like the most important thing.
Yes, it matters, but I'm not going to know who the person is whenever you tell me it. You know a bunch of strength and conditioning coaches on the back of your name? Name them. Name 5. Name 5 strength and conditioning coaches in college football.
I can't name 5, but I know good ones when I see them.
Ohio State's assistant strength and conditioning coach or former assistant strength and conditioning coach.
I've heard of Ohio State's before, and I've heard of Iowa's, but I can't think of
them
off the top of my head.
Nico Pizzoli. He was a former fullback, went to Detroit Catholic Central. He was an assistant at Ohio State. He just got signed somewhere else.
So you guys couldn't name us one single strength and conditioning coach.
I don't even know Mr. State strength and conditioning coach. Former one. His name was Josh Novak. Former one.
Yeah, and the guy before that was Kenny Manny.
Yeah.
No, Kenny Mayne is the ESPN.
He spoke in front of Bill Burkhorst. He is the head of science and technology for strength and conditioning for Michigan State athletics.
Well, I'm in the
Great guy.
program, so
I understand how
I just want to know your 10 on-field assistants, or just anybody that you think is worth a shit. Who's your defensive coordinator? Who's your offensive coordinator? And just you get to pick one extra fun coach for me to know about. Go.
Sharon Moore is the head coach.
Didn't ask that. I asked for your offensive coordinator.
Kurt Campbell is hired as the offensive coordinator. He is the offensive coordinator.
Former QB's coach.
I'm having deja vu. We had the same discussion last week when you guys did the Who bit when I said it.
I don't know who Kurt Campbell is. I'm sorry.
They just promoted him from within. He was coaching QBs last year. He called the plays versus East Carolina.
That's a dumpster fire.
Do not have a defensive coordinator. That's the main update for the show. They don't have one yet. But it looks like it's going to be an old NFL retread, which initially I was excited about, but then it made me nervous that
if you guys hire Wink, he ain't recruiting. He's not wasting his entire life in a plane and trying to recruit high school kids. I'm telling you,
which is fine. Which is fine. I've accepted that. I don't really need him to recruit because I don't think Jesse Minter was out there just landing big prospects left and right. He was there for a year or 2 years. Mike McDonald,
because Jim didn't recruit. It's well known that Jim didn't recruit.
Jim definitely recruited when he first got there. That's
when he first did. Fact. It's well reported by your Michigan reporters that Jim hasn't recruited like the last 3 years. He just like signs off
because he knew he was leaving. Wow,
he changed. Guy. He let his assistants take care of it because he's like, I'm clearly whatever I did didn't work.
My point is that someone had to be recruiting. A big name needed to be recruiting. So Jesse Minter was probably recruiting.
No, Mike Elson was the big defensive recruiter. And
he's gone.
Yeah, Mike Elson gone. I mean, people know the updates, but clean scale TBD. I think Elson's probably one of the bigger departures. I think Minter, but like I never thought he was going to stay, so what didn't like hurt. Elston going was a little wow.
Coming back?
Herbert
coming back?
Mike Hart probably not. Bellamy
not coming back.
Hart does not currently have a contract, and no one has heard from him since. And he didn't show up to the championship ceremony, so I think he
did have health problems this year.
Well, he wants to be a head coach, I think, and I'm guessing seeing more elevated.
The table.
I don't know. I'm just saying what I heard. Like he probably wants more.
Go coach Buffalo, buddy.
He probably thought that Sharon Moore and him were competing, and Sharon Moore obviously is picked, so I can see why he would just want to stay around. Did Mike Hart honestly
think that he was going to get it?
I think at one point 2 years ago, people probably thought it. Yeah,
there's been headlines like Mike Hart, stupid. Like, is he ready?
No, that's plain simple. He's not.
I don't
know enough about him. I don't know enough about him as a coach. I
was about to say something.
Quick fact check: Jesse Minter, not a recruiter. Yeah, he's landed like 5 guys, and they're all like, they're all like 3 stars, nothing special. He was not landing big fish.
It's between Martindale. He's meeting with Michigan tomorrow to discuss it, so that's like legit. He is going to Michigan he's meeting with Michigan tomorrow to discuss the job.
There's no way he's going to handle 18-year-olds.
That's super cool.
And you have another Don Brown Jr. on your hand. He's a blitz guy.
The other finalists. That's the part that worries me is like he hasn't been in college football, I think, since the early 2000s. How's that gonna work? Like, is it gonna?
What team did he coach for in the early 2000s?
He worked at Western Kentucky, I believe.
Go Hilltoppers.
Went to Defiance.
Still talking about Martindale? Wink?
Yeah. Don Martindale.
Dude, Wink feels like a Don Brown type of guy.
He coached for Defiance. He coached for Notre Dame, Cincinnati, Western Illinois, and Western Kentucky.
He went from DeFi to Notre 2003. Dame. No fucking shot.
Can you give me those years, Grant?
That's his career jump?
Yep. From Defiance, he started in 1986. Was there for a year. What was
his job title?
Defensive coordinator.
To assistant at Notre Dame.
To an assistant from 94 to 95.
No one knows what that means, though. What does
but then he had like a super high of Notre Dame, and then he went to Western Illinois.
No, Cincinnati, special teams and linebackers coach for a couple seasons. Western Illinois for 1 year.
Cincinnati
defensive coordinator.
What year was he at Cincinnati?
96 to 98.
Whoever was in 98 got fired because that's one you're not in Division I that fall to Western Illinois. The Bulldogs.
What did he do from 1987 to 1994?
1987? He wasn't. Oh, I don't know.
He was defensive coordinator of Defiance 86 and 87, and then he went to Notre Dame in 94.
Maybe he was at Defiance longer. I don't know. Maybe that's wrong. It's a good question, Alex. Maybe it's something to look into.
He was on the staff of Jack Harbaugh. Did you guys talk about that?
Yeah, he's a Jack Harbaugh guy at Western Kentucky.
Did not know Jack Harbaugh was head coach.
It's the Harbaugh tree. It's the Harbaugh tree. His biggest stint, most notable, with the Ravens from 2012 to 2021. So that's where he was at his longest in terms of job.
Was not the defense's fault. It's the quarterback.
Well, and that year that his production on the team, I was reading up about it. Like they had so many injuries. I don't know if you remember. Like the Ravens always have injuries, but the year that the defense suffered, like all their secondary got hurt.
Before they even traded Roquan Smith, before they got Kyle Hamilton.
Like everybody got hurt in the secondary.
What a concept! We bring in better players, our defense improves. It wasn't the defensive coordinator. So stupid.
So I think he's a smart guy. I think he
can't believe he
confuse a
went
lot
to
of
Defiance.
college offenses, but I just don't know.
Bring him back
if that's the move, because it just scares me because we had success with hiring young up and comers that were unproven, and now we might dip back into the wily veteran Don Brown type that just got picked apart by modern college offense. So we'll see what that brings.
Please.
The other guy that's a finalist is Joe Cullen from the Chiefs. He's their defensive line coach. He's also been around. And you know what the fun fact about Joe Cullen is? Anyone know? Your dads would know.
He's eating at the most Culvers of anyone in the world.
No, but it is fast food related. And it's funny. It's an all-time story.
He owns a Taco Bell?
So Joe Cullen, about 18 years ago, he's been 18 years sober. He used to have a heavy drinking problem.
Sorry, Joe.
20 years ago.
What a quitter.
He was on Rod Martinelli's staff with the Lions.
The Detroit Lions, 2006 to 2008.
He got arrested in a Wendy's drive-thru because he was butt naked and drunk.
Yeah.
And this is who you're going to hire?
Great fit.
I hope you get this guy. Fit. I hope Wink just shows up and is like, yeah, I don't want this shit. I hope you get him.
So,
I don't know. If those are your two finalists, I wouldn't be feeling very good.
I
mean, they're both.
Guy. What's this guy's name again?
They're
Cullen?
Joe Cullen. He's a fun time. But he cleaned up his whole act.
Defensive coordinator for Urban Meyer in Jacksonville.
Oh.
Yeah, he's bounced back. He's sober now.
He's been all over the place.
He's such a quitter, though. Like, you don't just give up on something you enjoy doing.
He's never been anywhere longer than 4 years.
Which is fine. That's our pace for defensive coordinators. They don't stay around that long if they're good. So that's where the DC is at right now.
I don't know about those choices.
Got Dr. Blitz and Naked Wendy's, man.
Honestly, you might be better off bringing Don Brown back.
I think I like Wink if I had a pick because he's recently a coordinator.
His Wikipedia page does him dirty in the Baltimore Ravens, like long sleeve polo. Like, that guy cannot be my coach. Can't be. He looks like Buddy Stevens from Last Chance U.
Yeah. No, I think he'd be electric on the sidelines. He'd be good entertainment, if anything.
What about Biff Poggi?
He's the head coach at Charlotte.
Come on.
He's a Harbaugh guy. He's not going to go like just work for Sharon.
Is this Sharon experiment going to fail? I don't know. I'm just wondering.
It could. It just
if you had to place your percentage on it.
What's fail? Let's just define fail.
They don't make the playoff for the first 4 years he's the head coach.
Like, is all of a sudden the clock is like very expanded because you won a national championship, so you're going to have the utmost patience?
Well, Harbaugh.
I would say one, like competing for the Big Ten, and 90%, like in a 10-year span. Let's say he's coached for 10 years.
10 years?
Jesus, Grant.
Do you want to go 5 years? Like, what? Give me a time. You guys got to lay the ground rules. I'll tell you what I think.
D'Antonio only lasted like 12. You're giving him a 10-year span. Like, coaches don't last that long.
Jim didn't go 10.
Yeah, he did.
All right, 5.
Very close.
Did he? 9?
Yeah.
Oh my
close
God,
to 10.
Alex.
He started in 2015.
So he didn't make it 10. Anyways.
Very close to 10.
5 years.
Yeah. Okay, so in 5 years, let's give him 5-year runway. If you got to compete for the Big Ten in 3 out of those 5, would like to win 1 Big Ten title, and then you need to make the playoff.
I don't see him winning the Big Ten title in the first 5 years.
2 times out of 5, make the playoff.
I don't see him winning the Big Ten in the first 5 years.
All right, how about I just give you a scenario? You go 7-5 this year. You go 7-5
I don't see Michigan
next
State
year.
winning it either.
Let me change. You go 7-5 this year, 9-3 the next year, 7-5 in the third year. Are you giving him year 4?
Yeah.
You go 8-4 year 4. You giving him year 5?
Without knowing factors of like, is recruiting trending up? I would say no. But if recruiting's like top 3 class, top 5 class, yeah. Like if
You
he's,
have a young
if he's getting more
quarterback.
modern.
Yes.
Yeah, if I can sell myself, yeah. Because
Nick
Harbaugh
Wendy's
like
dude
a-
just got
Lopez.
fired. You just hired a new up-and-coming defensive coordinator.
Thank God you got a new DC because Wendy's boy did not work.
He relapsed, but he went to Hardee's.
Clarify, jokes aside, like clarify, good for him for being sober for like 20
Yes.
years. But that's a hilarious story that will
He's a
always
quitter.
follow him.
No, get back on the horse.
If they win less than 6 games in any year, is he gone?
No.
If they go 3-9 next year, are you out?
No.
That's the
2
dream,
and 10.
Alex. That's the dream. I would hit like crack.
They go 2-10 in year 1.
Oh, that would
No.
hit like crack.
You're trusting him if you go 2-10.
It's just I wouldn't just pull the trigger and fire a dude for 1-2-10 sitting.
That's the world we
season
live
when
in, Grant. That's the
He
world
has
we
like
live in.
It
everything
is.
working against him right now. I would say.
All right.
So my expectations are not that high. Other people, yes, will call for
3-9,
his job.
4-8, 5-7. First 3 years. 3-9,
Gone.
4-8, 5-7. Improvement.
Yeah, he'd be gone. He'd be gone.
3-9,
Like there's
6-6.
there's some bottom feeders in the Big Ten that Michigan should just beat on the line of scrimmage no matter what. And if you can't
Solely
do
on
that, there's a
talent
problem.
alone, you should be like 10 teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next year's like
Well,
out
Alex,
the
that
window
depends
because
on
the
who leaves
schedule is
after
so
the
hard.
spring transfer portal.
Yeah, or who we bring in. Glass half full.
Who you leave? Who's leaving? You're not bringing.
Yeah,
not
Michigan's
replacing the
probably
same
going to
talent.
go 12-0. Who are we kidding?
kidding me?
It's going to get worse.
Texas
The
is
one
gonna-
tough. I think we could beat Texas at home.
Ooh, I think that's
That's a hot take.
I'd have to see what their offensive line looks like early in the year because if all our defensive line stays, then
But how's your offense
just create.
going to score?
We may not have to as much as like we
Well,
think
yeah,
we have to.
I think you
Yeah,
can
then
win
you're
football
going to have
games
to
if you
score
can
some points.
Yeah, but you can win like a 17-14 game
Guys
at the big
could
house and it's
be-
a win.
2018 Michigan State, number 3 defense in the country, won 7 football games because your offense scores 6 points a game.
You're going to lose to an NFL quarterback 7-6 in a bowl game.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we could. I think our
That's
defense
good
would
times,
be-
Alex. Good times.
Even assuming the current
Living in
roster stays, the
pain.
defense should keep them in every single game.
Alex,
they
I would
play
take that
in. It
season
just-
back again, though.
To swap out last year? Yeah, sure. So would I.
That defense was fun to watch. Offense? Ugh.
That one time you score a touchdown every game, it's like crack.
Never forget that home Iowa
just-
game. That was a good game.
The only thing I'd actually think is constructive to say about the recent Michigan stuff is I just don't understand Michigan fans freaking out and not expecting that Harbaugh was going to take a bunch of people. Like he has every right to. He built his program into what it is.
Are
He
people
doesn't
mad?
have
Jim Harbaugh is a reason
Yeah,
those people
I'm-
are successful. Like those people,
People are
owe
just like
their
all-
life to him. Like
He provided
people
you
are-
the greatest moment in the history of sports you'll probably ever experience in your life. So you can all shut
there's
it.
just
it just
there's
doesn't make
just
sense.
people
Like
that are surprised, and I
just
don't know
get
why
it.
they're
I don't
surprised.
get why. Like, okay, let's say you get into a brand new company, somebody hires you on, and then that person leaves and is creating another company. He's like, "Hey, I want you to be the CEO of my new company." You're going to say no, and be like, "No, I want to go back to where I just was." This shit just doesn't make sense.
I almost
Well,
responded to a tweet
You guys need to
sarcastically,
get off
but
the
I
Bird
didn't
app.
want to.
There's just so much funny stuff on there. I can't. It's so funny.
a paid journalist that cashes checks from writing about sports wondered out loud.
That's the life. That's the life.
Justin Thin wondered out loud, does this affect Jim Harbaugh's legacy? Because Mike Elston left as well.
I don't even know who that guy is.
Leaving.
Are you sure he's not trolling? That's just such an outrageous tweet that I can't imagine.
It was a lengthy paragraph of all the things that have happened, saying like with sanctions potentially coming, it has to affect his legacy, right? And I just want to be like, no, title still hits like crack. Like, I don't care.
Because a grown man made a decision for his own life. Like, that doesn't affect anything that has to do with Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, like, I think some people thought though that like Jim is such a Michigan man, he just like leave it. It's like, no, Jim's a freak. He's loyal to himself and no one else.
NFL,
like, Jim Harbaugh has had one thing on his mind the last 5 or 6 years, and that's winning a Lombardi. That's it.
He said it.
Yeah,
he said it,
and he built this. It'd be one thing if like
he still won a national championship with you.
It'd be one thing if he didn't build this from the ground up, but like, again, talking about the athletic director and the department and how behind the times they are, Jim Harbaugh legitimately won this title on his own with like, some resources, but just did it through pure culture and grit.
Extremely overrated.
Whatever. I mean, like with support around him. There are a lot of chirps
Jim
now,
can
though.
Still sling it.
There are a lot of reports to monitor, like actual journalists talking to, even outside not even the Michigan. People saying
journalist are there real journalists anymore?
Alex is credible one. Our best friends are actual journalists that has credible sources and actually does his work. He doesn't just do it for clickbaits. Let's not forget that, Alex.
There's a guy
there are people out there, but there's a lot of Twitter journalists that are not real. So
Cam, I'm taking it because Cam vouched for this guy. He's a reporter. He used to work for cover the Walleye. He's just out of Toledo, and he had got a lot of traction that he's hearing from sources that things are not, I'll just read it. Things are not great right now in Ann Arbor. Jim Harbaugh held things together. President Ono is going to have to make the decision to move on from Ward Manuel, and it has to happen soon, is what the latest buzz is.
Yeah.
But the question is like, I think what is being realized is that Jim had that place held together by duct tape because of his just
football. How much holds of a legend
he is.
Football holds the entire athletic department together. If you have a good football program, your entire athletic department runs smoothly. You have a bad football program, everything seems like to be falling apart. And let's be honest, football is the king. Your athletic director gets prioritized or gets, what do you want to say, judged or based on what you do for the football program. If your football program is not succeeding, you get a new athletic director. That's just how it works.
It's just this long saga that has gone on for so long, even when Jim was there, about how.
But Grant, you made up the point. The
relationship is
either last week or 2 weeks ago that Ward in his hiring opportunities has flopped, or keeping coaches around has flopped.
Yeah, I guess there's just no confidence now that Jim is out that there's leaders in the room there.
I agree with you.
That's why I think Sharon is swimming upstream. I believe in Sharon. I just don't know about the help. I think everything about that program is like behind the times, and Jim just was the Band-Aid on it. And now we'll see what happens. So that's the long-winded rant about Michigan football, but we can move on to
Manuel.
This is be very quick. We just talked about this at length in our group chat. I just need to ask. So Bill O'Brien was going to Ohio State, correct?
Yeah.
Is he gone?
I
saw a rumor that he's going to Boston College to be the head coach.
Yeah, me too. That is.
Is he actually going?
It sounds like that's going to happen.
Oh, yeah, he should. It's an upgrade.
That means we get to play against Bill O'Brien, Evan, week 4.
Grant, that is not an upgrade. I'd rather have the offensive coordinator job for Ohio State than the head coach for Boston College.
Chip Kelly's trying to leave UCLA to be the head coach at Boston College, so.
Because Evan, like, look at what Chip they got Kelly. Brian Hartline.
What?
Yeah, apparently Chip Kelly is trying every way possible to get out of UCLA, and he interviewed with Seattle for their offensive coordinator job, and now he's interviewing with Boston College. He's interviewing with Boston College to be the head coach.
College football is on life support when it comes to like keeping their coaches happy. Everyone wants to go to the NFL.
Granted, Chip's not very good at people coaching anymore. So
true. He's exciting to have though. Anyways, okay. Pistons made a trade.
Coordinator from Michigan if they didn't.
They made 2 trades, Grant.
2 trades. Look at you, Evan. You're down.
I don't even know what the Pistons trades were because I'm in boycott.
We drafted some
It's all right.
no-name Italian that's going to suck that will never play for the Pistons, and then we traded away our hometown hero, Monte Morris, right? I think that's his name.
Hometown hero that's been here for
a bag of
30,
potato chips
32 games.
Pick.
Let's work on pronunciation for Evan. I know that's not a strong
Morris.
suit. I heard the announcer say this guy's name. His name is Simone Fontecchio.
Fontecchio?
Simone Fontecchio.
Simone Fontecchio.
For 3. Evan, the real question here is we won't have a show until after the trade deadline. But right now, the Pistons have too many players on their roster, I think. Wait, maybe they're good now that Monte Morris is... No, they have too many players on their roster after that trade.
Oh,
we should say goodbye to Killian Hayes right now. Yeah,
I'm going to miss him.
It's
always bad when you get rid of the hottest dude on the team. Always a bad day. Your team's going to get worse. I just know it.
Worse looking.
Killian Hayes plays against the Magic. Well, I think we win. It's that simple.
Evan loves Killian Hayes and loves Malik Hall. And they look very similar. You read between the lines, people. You read between the lines.
I don't got no type.
I honestly really don't care about Pistons basketball. And the fact that Pistons regular season, like NBA regular season games, people think it matters, it's not. Like we were talking with a bunch of like coaches and whatnot. It's glorified just like pick up YMCA basketball. Just with better talent.
Blaring music.
Music going on is just so obnoxious. Like, I don't know how coaches can talk during a timeout because you have idiots trying to jump off a trampoline and dunk a basketball behind them.
That's happening in college too. But
no, it's not. The music is so freaking loud.
But the music,
there's no way you can talk during timeout in NBA arenas. There's not. There's just no way. The atmosphere is so much better. There was zero fans
on the road in the Big Ten, Evan. Come on.
There was 0 fans sitting on the mid-court in that entire section. Like, just basically, there was like 5 people because nobody wants to pay for that ticket.
We don't have
Miles
an NBA
Teller was
team
at
in
Crunchies.
Detroit. Yeah.
That's my other headline.
Crunchies, the brat burger with tater tots, homemade mustard.
Does anybody know why he was there?
He's doing a world tours, like visiting. He was in Grand Rapids the day before. He's visiting.
So
like
he decided, hey, I'm going to go to Crunchies.
He's a partner in Long Drink, that little gin can.
I know what it is. I like
that. Those are strong.
What?
Can I ask you guys a question that made me think?
I don't know if I could drink that many of them. I think I need one, but I need it on like a lot of ice. I need it super.
I don't think we're talking about the same thing. Anyways.
We are talking about the same thing. I had one of them and I could barely get it down.
I'm really wondering about you then, Evan. They're not. Okay. Anyways, Grant.
We talked about it a little bit in the group chat. Are we guys friends? Because why have you guys never taken me to Crunchies?
I don't like Crunchies. Just going to put that out there.
Alex doesn't like the food, but it has great food.
I've never liked their food. I didn't like it in college.
I was driving to Ipsy during that entire conversation. I was just hating that I couldn't give my 2 cents in of how great Crunchies is. It's fantastic.
It's crazy. Why we never took you in college when we were in college. We went out with people. No,
there's only ass at Harper's.
That's not the reason. Well, it wasn't for me. I had a girlfriend. So, but the people we went out with, half of our friend group had fake IDs. The girls all had fakes, and you could not go to Crunchies with a fake ID. It was like never in a million.
Yeah, they highlighted that stuff, and they like blue lighted that stuff like underneath like a special scanner.
You can only go into Crunchies if you're truly
like Enrique wasn't looking at it, and they like put it underneath everything. It was like Fieldhouse basically. Like they scanned that like fake.
What about post college? I've been there numerous times post college. No Crunchies. Never even mentioned should we go there. Like no one talks about it in our friend group
because it's not. I mean, now let's be honest. It's like a bar for people like us now. Versus
like Barrio, we go to Barrio all the time. Good, good place, but never a Crunchies.
I mean, Evan and I.
I'm always down to go to Crunchies. Always.
Evan and I went to Crunchies after deer camp with my dad and my uncle who watched the Lions. Like that was recently. So I don't know. You just got to ask, I guess.
I would love to go to Crunchies anytime you're in East Lansing, Grant. But
It's
also,
not
like,
like-
I don't know if you can go. Well, Alex lives in Texas now, so you don't have to worry about it. Alex will always downplay it, so like, kind of just go with like the group.
Knowing Grant, he'll love the food. He's a garbage disposal. It's not that I don't like the food when I'm eating it. It's I don't like it how it makes me feel afterwards.
I'm coming for a karaoke night at some point this spring or summer.
Karaoke in there is pretty fun.
We did karaoke when we were in college.
I've done karaoke there
Twice.
multiple times. I went there with Cody and Bronson one night for karaoke.
Last segment here, we'll do, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes on football year in review and any Super Bowl thoughts. When you think about this football season, Alex, start with you. I kind of threw down here highlights, lowlights, biggest stories, takeaways. Kind of choose your own adventure of what stands out to you about this football season between, could be Lions, could be Michigan State, could be Michigan. What comes to mind for you?
Best, worst. There's a lot of emotions in this football season. Probably the widest range of emotions I've ever had in a football season in my life. The low of Michigan State football, the high of the Detroit Lions reaching the NFC Championship game, and the low of Michigan winning the national championship all at once. It's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot to handle. But I feel like as Evan always said, watch more football. I think I watched the most amount of football I've ever watched in a fall. A lot of
by yourself, buddy.
Yeah,
late night passion.
I was like that last year. I watched a lot of football last year.
On top of that, Alex, I would get behind you because we had like 5 years, half a decade worth of material, worth of football seasons, all packed into one.
It was too much.
You combine all three of our teams.
For
And
Grant,
what
it's gotta be
happened?
way too much.
Like when the national championship ended, and then we were talking about like, oh, Michigan won the national championship. Also, the same year Mel Tucker jerked off on the phone and got fired. That happened in the same year.
Lowest of
And it didn't feel
lows.
like it. It did not feel like it.
Grant had the highest of highs.
Like I will never forget where I was laying when I woke up and
football
found that,
season.
and I read that article. I'll never forget where I was.
I'd argue we'll
was
never
in
ride a roller
Elk
coaster like this
Rapids.
ever again.
Elk Rapids, Michigan, in an Airbnb, 7:30 a.m. Woke up, read it. Never forget.
7:45 a.m. Roll over on my left side. Look at my phone. Article from Garrett Gillen.
It's on Charles Street.
What is
this, Lansing? I was live on the scene. I couldn't believe what I was reading.
Alex, you went to Arrowhead this season. That feels
Yeah,
like
I was
3
just
years
going to say,
ago.
I went to the Lions Chiefs opener and watched Brian Branch pick 6. And I thought that was gonna be the peak of my football season, and it wasn't even close.
Alex, you talked to me and you
crazy
thought that we
year.
could beat Washington.
So did you once we were in the stadium.
No.
Evan, you looked at me after Thunderstruck and said,
Thunderstruck.
we're winning this football game.
Oh, just how bad our freaking coaching staff was. Just incompetent.
Evan,
idiots.
you saw the two teams that played in the
I
national
saw the
championship.
two
Both
teams that
of
played
you
in the national
saw them
championship
live.
live. So did Grant.
Grant went to the Rose
Yeah.
Bowl.
Grant went to the Rose Bowl. Grant went to
I wrote
two
this down.
playoff games.
Do you guys see my shirt?
No, you're frozen right now for me.
Nice.
Oh.
I wore it for tonight.
Very nice.
I wrote my biggest takeaway was just the year of Grant seeing games in person because I wrote it all out and it's jarring the amount of football I saw in person.
And Grant
this year.
never goes to
That
football
is-
games.
That is Evan 2021. Grant, you
Never.
had your 2023/4.
You guys ready for this list? It's just hot looking at it. Just looking back at these moments.
Makes
So,
you weenie wiggle.
I started out MSU versus Washington, which game
Done.
bad, but tailgate weather and
Atmosphere.
like getting back on the tailgate scene was
Great.
awesome.
Great.
Booze in the stadium.
Booze in
Had
the
a
stadium.
Local short.
Left at halftime,
There.
went to the bar. Great.
Gatehouse
Next.
restored that game.
Evan took my rivalry game virginity. MSU versus
Oh,
Michigan.
yeah. Did it dirty.
Night game. Night game.
Actually,
We had one
the
first
fact
down
that you
at
didn't
halftime.
thank Alex for that ticket that was totally free and didn't have to give
I think
you.
I did.
You just said
Thanks, Alex, for
Evan
making a
took
big
your
life
Virginia.
choice.
I contributed.
But
to that
Evan
decision. I could
led
have
me
flew
there.
home for that 86-0 beatdown.
Evan bobbed me in and out of traffic for that.
Yes,
for sure.
I was seasoned veteran. Routine. Follow along, tag along.
Next, Can I get lost in the shuffle because it's not our state? I saw the Iron Bowl. I saw 4th and 31 in my face. Jalen Milroe.
Remarkable season you've had.
Insane.
Saw the Iron Bowl.
I followed that up with a trip to the Rose Bowl, a bucket list trip that ended in overtime, in my face, defensive goal line stand walk-off. Insane. Confetti flying. Bananas. And then I saw 4 Lions games in person this year. Lions-Panthers, blowout. Lions-Vikings, already clinched end of season.
I didn't get to watch a
And
Lions
the
game
heavy
in person
hitters
this year.
of the playoffs. The playoffs were also a fever dream.
Oh, yeah, I did.
But it was
Stupid.
I almost don't know if I appreciated them as much after the Rose Bowl. I definitely did, but just a crazy, crazy season of seeing events in person. A lot of wins. I mean, not many losses on there.
Is there any?
Well, Iron Bowl I lost because I was going to storm the field. That would have been all time.
Yeah,
that would have been better.
That would have been cherry on top, probably.
But really, other than that, no, all wins. The only other things, the Stallion scandal happened this year. That aged me 20 years.
Holy what a
message boards
football
every day.
season. Mel Tucker jerked off. Connor Stallions.
cannot.
Michigan wins a national championship. There is going to be a 30 for 30 about this season. There has to be.
Where were you? Where were you in the state of Michigan?
Where were you? The shot of Michigan sports.
The
football
state of
channel.
Michigan.
Let's make our
season.
own. Let's start this journey.
We didn't
Get a
film
camera,
during the season.
Start interviewing people. Mark
We don't have
Antonio
any
came back and
live-
coached. Mark Antonio came back and
Mark
coached on the
Antonio.
sideline.
Crazy. Crazy year.
I think
Oh my
another point I
God.
want to call out is I think it gets lost in the shuffle now how much was on the line that day, Michigan versus Ohio State. It's easy to look past it now that they won it all. But if Ohio State wins that game, if Kyle Honda McCord leads that drive, that everything gets discredited by Michigan because of the cheating allegations, but they survive on the Rod Moore pick and they go on to do what they do. Like
Rod Moore cried after the Penn State game. I'll never forget that.
Jim got basically arrested off a plane in Penn State.
Nick Saban retired.
Bill Belichick. That's not really our state, but
Bill Belichick got fired.
the last 2 things is I wrote down this is always be the year of the first for the Lions. They accomplished a lot of firsts since X amount of years, with division
Pretty much
wins.
every first except Super Bowl.
Winning the North was such a just awesome feeling. I will remember that moment because it was Christmas Eve, partying. Like that was a great moment. The Iffy Melifonwu pick will always stand out to me.
I think the first playoff win was more fun than the NFC North win for me.
Yeah, no, that was probably the peak, right? Well, the peak may have been having a 24/7 lead in the NFC Championship game.
That actually was the peak. Holy shit.
The Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown was probably the peak.
Oh my God. My body was ready to just go bananas. Oh my God. It still hurts. It still hurts. And then the lowest of lows would be the Lions losing that lead. It has to be like the lowest Lions moment of my life. In a season of the most highs, we ended with the lowest low possible.
The runner-up was Packers lost Thanksgiving. I was pretty
low.
distraught.
On top of that, lose to Arizona.
That was embarrassing.
Ugh.
That was a bad thing.
Basketball.
Bad Thanksgiving. Holy shit.
And then full circle.
We went to Penn State after that. Oh my God.
This year was the end of the
Stupid ass decision.
Yeah, you guys saw Penn State in person.
We had 2 terrible days of sports. Probably the 2 worst possible, imaginable. Every team we like.
This is
Great bar, great
this is making me
tailgate
more grateful.
in Detroit,
That was
but
awful.
just the game product on that game was just. We weren't watching the same sport as like the national championship game. I just know it wasn't the same sport.
It was not even the level of Tecumseh varsity football that day.
And then to wrap it up, a little bit of a relief for the rivalry fans and a little bit of bittersweet for Michigan fans. The Harbaugh era at Michigan ended this season. It was the last year that he'll coach at Michigan. So went out on top. Never would have thought it, but just a wild ride that this, and I think everyone should go back. I've been watching the Michigan mini movies of the season have started coming out on YouTube, and sometimes, I'll take a little 45 minutes if I'm by myself, watch them, enjoy it. But I think everyone needs to enjoy the seasons that were positive, I guess, for their teams.
Yeah, I don't know if Evan and I have that many like positives that we can take from this season, but like
maybe a Lions mini movie up until the NFC Championship game.
It sucks because the Lions season ended the way it did that it almost makes me not even want to look back on the season at all. Happy for you though, man. Glad you get to enjoy happiness while we don't.
Thanks. We might find out if the whole sell your soul for like 10 years of misery from your team happens, though.
Friend of the podcast, Ben, said the same thing.
I forgot you live with him. Till right now.
I kind of did too. And then quickly, I promised before the Super Bowl, I did go back like a sicko on my flights, and I listened. Good thing to kill time on flights. Listen back to our predictions for each team.
They weren't good.
Would you like to start with Michigan? They're pretty good. Michigan State or Lions? Would you like to start with?
Michigan State. Let's get the disgusting.
Okay.
Evan had Michigan.
Evan had 6-6. Alex had 7-5, and I had 6-6.
All right, we're all right there.
I remember exactly what I was saying.
Average shit.
I remember exactly what I was saying. It was like, who is going to score the football for us? And I was right. Who's going to score? Nobody. Nobody. There was nobody.
Who are we going to stop? Nobody. Who are we going to beat?
And
nobody.
Michigan season predictions.
Ooh, I think I said 11.
I definitely know I said 11-1 because I never was going to pick Michigan State. Michigan did.
I think Evan said 10-2.
Evan 11-1.
See, James Franklin's a fraud.
Alex 11-1.
Grant 12.
Grant, I drank the Kool-Aid. I went 12-0. So
I think we're all
that worked out nice. There. And then Lions, which is kind of wild looking back at it. A shocking stat that I think we need to toot our own horn this week to get more people on board that we're not just fools and we know ball. It was kind of odd. I think Evan.
When we finished, we were like, "Whoa! Do we really think they're that good?"
So Evan, listening back, Evan had an obligation. So Wilkins filled in for the schedule release where we do it in like May, which is way too early to do predictions.
God, you listened to that one?
Yeah, I listened like to the end of what we said the predictions were.
Were they good? This is exciting.
They were incredible. Incredibly good.
May, before we even know who's on the team.
So this is what happened. In May, Alex had us at 11-6.
One off.
I had 12-5.
Wow, Grant, spot on.
And Cody had 12-5.
Shit.
Did you guys get the games right?
But then, no, I don't think so. Then we had Chief of Prop on, and he sprung some questions on us about the Lions like right before the season was about to start. So we kind of redid our predictions.
Okay.
Evan did not give a firm record, but he did say win the division and host a playoff game.
Check.
And then, oh wait,
that was a Michigan.
I got this kind of confused.
That was a Michigan State.
I got this confused.
Dude, write your notes.
Let me retrack. During the schedule prediction show with Cody, we all said 12-5.
Okay, you tried to discredit me earlier.
Right, we all said 12-5. But then when Chief asked, you said 11-6. Win division, 1 playoff win.
Close.
And then I stuck with 12-5, win division, 1 playoff win.
Close.
But the bigger takeaway that, Alex, you did say schedule release night 12-5. On schedule release night, Alex and I have back-to-back seasons of getting 100% correct the Lions record, which is kind of nuts, just odds-wise.
Come on.
And Evan's been one off. Evan was one off the first year, and you didn't give a firm record, but I imagine it was close to that. When it comes to just blindly guessing this team's record, we're pretty dialed in.
Well, in fact, we're undefeated.
Yes.
Never been wrong.
Why don't you just bet what our record's going to be?
I'm just going to predict next year we go 17-0. See if I just have the golden touch.
It's kind of like that crazy stat where like Peter Schrager's gotten the last 4 Super Bowls, right?
Like
crazy. we're just nailing the Lions record.
Oh.
So I'm going to make a graphic for that because that is bananas.
That's pretty sick. I'm a genius. I'm a pizza genius, Little Caesar style.
No, you're not. Only I am.
Speaking of prediction Super Bowl, any thoughts you guys have for the big game on Sunday?
Yes, sir.
Who are you rooting for? We know Alex is going to wear his jersey.
I'm cheering for the 49ers. I know they beat the Lions, but I'm a CMC guy, and I want the best players in the NFL to win Super Bowls, at least have a chance to like state their claim as the best ever. I know Mahomes is the best quarterback. He's already won one, and I think CMC deserves one as a good guy and all that stuff. Best running back of our generation.
Dude, he has a super hot girlfriend. He doesn't need anything else in life.
Super Bowl would be pretty cool.
I respect that out of Evan because he's not like coming at it from an angle of Chiefs hate. He just loves CMC and he always has. So
for totally a guy.
That.
I'm for two guys.
Correct.
And Grant's rooting for
CMC should win the MVP because playoffs should matter for MVP voting.
And you hate Lamar. Yes, we know.
Well, I don't hate Lamar. My proof of him being an overrated quarterback is backing every single day.
Did you guys see Kyle Shanahan just ripped up in Super Bowl Media Day?
No, I don't pay attention to that.
I saw some interview of him on TikTok, and he was just slurring his words like he was trashed.
Oh.
Maybe
like Joe Cullen in the Wendy's drive-thru.
I don't know what's AI. With AI these days, who knows what's real? I can't tell. Could be fake.
My allegiance is with Chiefs Kingdom because I bet on them to win the game.
Good choice.
Money line minus 104. My other, just going to rattle off my props to give Alex the itch, even though he can't. And then Evan, if you take any inspiration or if you have any good props for the listeners, let us know.
I honestly haven't even looked at a single thing.
Right, so maybe I'll give you some. I placed so many bets last year. You have no idea. I placed like 50 bets last year during the Super Bowl.
Right now I'm on tails. Start the night, tails.
Never fails. I hit that last year.
Chiefs money line. I sprinkled Noah Gray, first touchdown scorer.
Don't love that.
I sprinkled Rashee Rice, anytime touchdown scorer.
Love that. That's happening.
I like Pacheco to have 70-plus rushing yards. I like Kelsey to have 8+ receptions. I think they're going to lean on Kelsey. That's plus money at plus 114. That's too good to pass up.
It's good value.
I also, friend of the pod, Connor, he said McCole Hardman, so I did put $2 on McCole Hardman, first touchdown scorer.
Piece ass.
And then my bold take is I have good value, I think, plus 1,700 on Travis Kelce to win MVP, because I think if he catches 2 touchdown passes, they might just go the storyline of Travis Kelce winning MVP.
Absolutely, they would.
Especially because the Chiefs don't score a ton of points. Like, let's say Kelce has 2 touchdowns. If Kelce has 2 touchdowns and Pacheco has the third and they win like 24-17, it's Travis Kelce's award for the Taylor Swift angle. And I'm on that.
Niners lead at half, Chiefs win game. I love those ones. Those ones are juicy.
But the Niners have been off to bad starts in the playoffs lately.
Yeah,
so if anything, it'd be the opposite.
They'll right the ship.
If anything, I would go Chiefs first half, Niners win.
I'm telling you right now, I like that, and I've been pretty hot this week, so maybe you should think about it.
Maybe I will think about it. Noah Gray or McCole hits, my whole night's made, so let's just root for that.
Are you going to do big man touchdown? I remember
those crazy
one year,
specials.
The one year I bet that, it was Niners Chiefs, and a big man dropped it in the end zone. I bet big man touchdown. So did Luke. We're sitting there. You see the big guy go to the end zone. He's wide open. They throw it. It's incomplete, and just pure sadness on her face. It's brutal. It's like, wow, it's actually going to happen. And it didn't. So big man touchdown could be interesting. Gatorade color.
Evan, I think you gotta take CMC to score twice. Then I feel like that's your guy. You just take him to score 2 touchdowns.
I like doing a mixture of like both teams and not really like picking the winners and the outcomes of that.
It's smart.
Last year, I really did all
I'm
players
hedged.
How do you guys feel? I did win some money, I think, last year on the national anthem. Everybody's saying the under for Reba's anthem.
I did forget one thing during our season recap because we talked about Jahmyr Gibbs versus Alvin Kamara all season long. I crunched the numbers. This was on my lunch break, so this may have been some rough math that I did on my phone calculator.
Especially with your math ability.
Yeah, what I totaled out, this is total yards, rushing and receiving. They both played 18 games with the playoffs included. so it's a good comparison. Gibbs had 1,499 yards, so basically 1,500. 83 yards per game is the split for that. And Kamara had 1,692 yards, 94 yards per game. So better. Kamara's still better, but Gibbs not far off.
And Gibbs had a split a backfield and yeah. Evan, did you see Breece Hall's top 5 running backs?
Breece Hall's?
I did not either. So.
What do I care about that guy's
Did he put him 2? Did he put him 2?
Well, he's a running back in the NFL, so I just thought it was interesting.
Why do I care about this guy's opinion?
Because we talked about our top 5 running backs, and you put Derrick Henry.
It's like asking, do I care about Skip Bayless's favorite teams? No.
Well, anyways, he said
Skip Bayless doesn't play sports.
Breece Hall said Breece Hall won. Right, makes sense.
Yeah, see, Alex, I don't care. He's not the best.
Said McCaffrey 2. So basically, he said really McCaffrey 1. Bijan
so
2.
Far. Oh.
Gibbs 3.
Nice hair.
And then I guess he said Derrick Henry / David Montgomery 4.
What?
So we have 2 of the top 4 running backs based off of a guy's opinion that doesn't matter.
And he put himself number 1. So really, that was just only those
don't care.
So really,
Alex, we
Henry
don't
and
care.
Montgomery are 3.
Whatever gets you through the night to thinking that we're better than people, go ahead.
Evan, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is better than Derrick Henry. That's just what I wanted to make sure I said that again.
100% different styles. One's 30 and one is 21. So
yeah, I would take Jahmyr Gibbs right now, and I think he would too.
I also wasn't making that argument. Whatever last podcast or 2 podcasts ago.
Say it though, Evan. Just say it for us as we close it out. Say it.
Say it for the listeners.
Say it.
Derrick Henry at his peak and his best is better than like 99% of the running backs to ever play in the NFL.
Even Adrian Peterson at his best and Barry Sanders at his best?
I said 99%, Alex. I would take Derrick Henry over Adrian Peterson's best.
Didn't he run for like 2,500 yards in a season? Adrian Peterson had a crazy year when we were young.
He won MVP as a running back, I think.
Like crazy year.
Who cares? Say Gibbs is better than Henry right now. Say it.
Say it.
2 different running back styles.
Say how Justin's better
free agency. He doesn't need his burden of one of his biggest supporters. No, I'm not.
Would you guys trade the 29th pick for Joey Bosa? I saw that hypothetical.
Joey Bosa? He's washed.
Joey Bosa. Okay.
I don't know if he's... Yeah, I don't know.
I do not
want I haven't looked at any mocks yet.
Nope.
Evan refuses to pay anybody that's good, so that
he's
will
not good,
work
Alex.
on its budget. I'm still waiting for your cap experiment. I need it. I need it so bad.
Later date.
No idea.
At a later date.
I was looking up the cap. I think we restructured every party that got injured's cap. It's kind of... It's weird. But there's a lot of people that are just gone.
Cheers to 153 and to Gibbs being better than Derrick Henry.
Gibbs being better than Derrick Henry. Always.
Cheers to Toby Keith.
Jackson's forever. Cheers to Toby Keith.